Hey, what's up, everybody? I wanted to take a second and go live with you into the MLS this morning and show you what is actually happening in the Cleveland real estate market. We're seeing and hearing two very different things. If you're watching the news, if you're reading articles, they're telling you that what's happening on the West Coast is happening on the East Coast, and they're telling you things that aren't necessarily true. And I want to take a second this morning, and I want to share with you uh, 15 properties that went from pending to close this morning here in Cleveland, and I want to share with you exactly what's happening. So I'm going to hit share. We're going to jump right in this. We're going to rock and roll. This property was listed in Bay Village. It went from pending to sold this morning. So you're going to see this on all 15 of these. Property was listed for $299,900, was on the market for 1 day, and sold for $347. Okay, west side of Cleveland, Bay Village, right? Okay, let's go from the west side to the east side. Let's go from Bay to Beechwood. This property was listed at 419,000 and sold for 432.5. Was on the market for 3 days and just closed this morning. We went west side, we went east side. Let's now come back to the center. Let's go to Cleveland, Ohio, Cleveland proper. This was listed for 120,000 and it sold for 130,000, was on the market for 4 days. This next one, staying in Cleveland, was on the market at 179.9, sold at 185, on the market 4 days. Again, you can see this property went from pending to sold this morning. You then go from Cleveland to Cleveland Heights. Let's bounce back to the east side. This property was listed at $245,000, sold for $273,000, and was on the market 3 days. Going from Cleveland Heights, let's bounce back to Westlake. This property actually sold for $9,900 below list price. And I'm not the listing agent on this property. I don't even know who the listing agent is on this property. I don't care. However, I want to show you why I think in this market, this property sold for under list price. First and foremost, this picture is crooked. The picture is crooked. Let's keep going. These were taken on a cell phone and they weren't optimized for the internet, nor were they taken professionally, right? So you can see that these white lines here are cutting off the exterior of the house. And just wait for it. We're going to get a great picture of the garage floor. And this is super important. Look how awesome this garage floor is, as if that actually matters in the marketing of the home on the fifth picture. But again, as we look through some of these pictures, you can see that they're not bad pictures, but they don't do the property justice. They don't showcase it in the best light. So when a buyer walks in, this is probably going to deter some people from seeing the home simply because it wasn't marketed properly. Again, I'm not going to make qualms about it. It still sold very nicely. I think it could have sold more. That's just me. Go from Westlake to Paynesville now. This one sold at 239. It was on the market for 4 days, was listed at 230,000. Let's go from Paynesville all the way back to the west side now. Let's go to Avon. This property was listed at 249.9 in March, was on the market for a total of 7 days, and sold for $255,000. So again, you're seeing this trend, east side, west side, south side. Let's go to Akron now. Listed at 285, sold at 295, so $10,000 over list price in 3 days. Staying in the southern suburbs, let's go to Cuyahoga Falls. This one weirdly listed at 359,999. For another dollar, I would have just put it at 360. You would have had more eyeballs on the property, but again, not my listing. I digress. Sold at 367, 170 in 64 days. My guess, if I looked at this, there was a price reduction somewhere, potentially, which then drew further interest to get the property over list price, would be my assumption. If we look at Hudson, staying there, 399.9 to 408 in 5 days. Staying in Hudson, 529, sold at 540 in 16 days. Again, staying in Hudson, this one sold $25,000 over list price from 650 to 675 in 1 day. Going into North Canton now, a little further south, listed at 289.9, sold for 290 in 5 days. And then we'll wrap things out in Twinsburg, where property was listed at 345 and sold at 365 in 4 days. Now, what we're seeing, guys, this is all over Northeast Ohio, right? We went east side, west side, Cleveland proper. We went down to Akron, Canton. We've shown you a sample size of the entire market, right? When we look at the properties that came on the market just today, there's 77 homes that were for sale. 37 of them have sold. We've seen 15 price decreases, right? But yet, if we look, let's just look at the last week here in our local Cleveland area MLS. So this is just going to give you the surrounding counties of Cuyahoga. 546 listings, 685 sold, right? So then those that went under contract so there were 282 that went under contract that allowed potential showings. So we have two stages, right? We have under contract allow showing and under contract no showing. They both mean that the sellers accepted an offer. The difference between what stage, most agents don't actually know the difference, nor do they care, but there are two stages, right? So you have 282 that are allowing showings and 648 in the last week that are not allowing showings. And we only had 252 price decreases, right? So we're still seeing a ton of homes here in Northeast Ohio sell very, very quickly. And what's so important to note here is the number of homes that are selling at or above list price, and they're doing it in under 14 days in most circumstances, like we saw. Now, what does this mean for you if you're a buyer? If you're thinking about entering this market, you need to understand that the price a property is listed for is not necessarily what the property's worth. See, a lot of times, the good listing agents, a lot of times when we list properties, we're positioning the property where we think we're going to get the most amount of eyeballs, okay? Historically, go back 10, 15 years, even go back to 2018, 2019 before COVID. A home would be listed on the market, and it would be on the market 14, 21, 30, 45 days, right? Listing agreements were 6 months, not 90 days. And we'd start here, a buyer would offer here, and then we would negotiate our way back into where the property probably is worth, right? In this market, when 99% of home buyers start their search online, right? 99% of them start their search online. So in this market, we're marketing to where are we going to get the most amount of eyeballs, so that when we position the market or the property on the market, what we're looking to do is get as many showings as we can within the window, within that first week, to then procure as many offers as possible for our clients to get them the best property available, right? That's the goal. So if you're a buyer, you have to understand that where the property is listed at isn't necessarily what it's worth. It's just where it's positioned to get the most amount of eyeballs to see it, to want to schedule an appointment, to go in the house, fall in love, make an offer, so on and so forth, right? You have to understand that. And you have to just understand that if you want to, this market's very similar to what it was last year in 2021 and even in part of 2020, where if you want to sleep in this house, you might not necessarily be able to sleep on it because somebody that slept on it could potentially be writing an offer on it today. Make sense? If you want to sleep on it, you have to be okay with the fact that you might not have the opportunity to sleep in it. Now, if you're a seller, if you're thinking about selling your home in this market, you cannot, right? And I can't stress this enough. You cannot overprice the home when you enter the market. The idea of pre-COVID marketing of we're going to start it here and then we're going to go like this until it sells and we're going to reduce it, it doesn't work. Because buyers are so conditioned in this market to see a property, jump on it, that when a buyer thinks the home's overpriced, they might go look at it. But if a buyer thinks the home was overpriced, they're not going to offer on it. And they're going to sit there and wait for you to adjust the price down to reality. And then they might think about writing an offer. Now, the other people that didn't see the home, they're going to see your price reduction and they're going to wonder two things. How overpriced is it? And what's wrong with it? Okay. So you already have two things going against you when you reduce the price before that buyer even walks into the house. Okay. So if you're thinking about selling your home, what you have to do is understand that the entry point at which you put the property on the market is not necessarily where it's going to sell, but it's where where as the professional, where we are recommending you enter the market from a strategic marketing placement strategy. Strategic marketing placement strategy. If your agent doesn't have a strategic marketing placement strategy, you might want to reconsider signing that contract. Because you can't just throw a house on the market and expect it to sell. The average agent might have some luck. But again, you have to be strategic in your placement. You have to have the strategy. Live look at what's going on in Cleveland. I know it's a lot. I know it's probably way longer than I anticipated this going, but I wanted to share this information with you. I wanted to show you exactly what's going on. If you have questions about the market, if you have questions about what your home is worth, what you think your home could sell for, should I buy a home? Please send me an email, call me, text me, slide into my DM, do whatever you need to get in touch with me. Let me be your resource for you and your family as you decide what direction is best for you as we enter and fully slide in to our spring and summer market here in Cleveland. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Go Tribe, go Guardians. We'll talk with you. One more game against the Yankees, and then they're moving on. But hope you have a great week. It's finally going to warm up. We'll talk to you soon.